So there are many different approaches to feeding dogs and cats. And there's many people who will argue and debate the different approaches, and even amongst people who are feeding a natural raw meat diet, there are people who will debate your method compared to their method. For me, that's all just a waste of time. What I like to focus on isn't so much the approach as it is the concept. And for me, what I focus on is the fact that dogs and cats need a wholesome diet. It's impossible to absolutely know for sure what is a wholesome diet, because there's always these variables that we will never know. We can never obtain the perfect diet. So instead of focusing on what is a wholesome diet, I like to focus on what is not. When we begin to realize what is not a wholesome diet, all that remains is a wholesome diet. So you throw away everything that is not wholesome, and all that's left over is a wholesome diet. So for me, it's pretty simple. I begin to throw the dry food, the cooked food, the canned food, gone. All of that is not wholesome. From the ingredients, to the preparation, to the state that is cooked versus raw, for me it's not wholesome. So for me it's pretty simple. It's not what is wholesome, but what is not wholesome. But I actually go a little bit further beyond that. For me, it's not so much about the diet that you feed, because everybody is entitled to feed how they want. What I like to focus on is whether or not you're feeding your dogs and your cats with love. If you're doing it with love, that means that in your heart you truly believe whatever diet you are feeding is the best. You truly believe that you are doing the best for your dogs and cats. And how can you get mad at anyone who truly believes that what they are doing is the absolute best? You can't get mad. You may disagree with them, but you can't get mad at them. So for me, because I focus on what is not wholesome, and because I focus on doing the absolute best for my dogs and cats, because they are so much a part of my life, they are like my family, and because I love my dogs and cats so much, that when you combine all that, I come down with the fact that for me, the best diet to feed is a pure, natural, raw meat diet. And people are going to argue all the time about what's the best diet, bones, no bones, raw meat, cooked meat, whatever. Don't get caught up in those arguments, because people who are arguing, all they're really trying to do is convince themselves that what they are doing is the best. And the reason why I know that is because in the early days, I would debate anyone, argue with anyone, tell anyone that the only diet, the best diet, was a raw meat diet. And I realized that all I was trying to do was convince myself of the truth that I already knew. Once I realized I no longer had to prove anything to myself, I no longer had to debate, no longer had to argue, no longer had to convince. And the beauty of that is that instead of wasting your time and energy on this useless energy, you begin to spend your time loving, enjoying, and appreciating your dogs and cats right now. Because right here, even beside me, as I talk, there's a dog beside my lap. That is the beauty of loving the approach that you have. You don't have to worry about convincing anyone else, because you yourself are perfectly at peace with the diet that you are feeding.